Gracefully and Frankly is made possible by Sierra Sil, natural supplements that guarantee you'll feel a difference in the pain in your knees and other joints within 14 days or your money back. And thanks to Gail, who wrote on X, "Oh, Aaron, I've been telling everyone about Sierra Sil. I've just started my third bottle of Joint Formula 14, and despite my pain that requires surgery, I'm feeling so much better thanks to you." Oh, well, not me. Well, Gail, and I swear this is a real post. You can write me if you want a copy. It's right there in Sierra Sil's guarantee.
And that, along with details on all of their products, can be found at Sierra Sil's website, sierrasil.com. Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com. Don't forget the code GF for 10% off.
Alrighty, 2 months until Christmas. Let the fighting over when the decorations go up begin. Woohoo!
Oh, no. We went into a home sense and it looked like Christmas threw up all over the entrance. So
Yay.
It's already out there. Yeah.
Okay, you've been warned. Hi there, I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt, and ahead on this episode of Gracefully and Frankly, we are going to talk about things you don't know because people in the previous generation won't tell you. What is with that pride, and is it finally eroding a little bit with us and the younger people?
Also, remember when your caregivers or your parents used to mete out your Halloween treats in a torturously slow way? Well, it turns out that may not have been the best way. We're here to tell you about that.
Women are more likely to binge watch true crime than men, and there are reasons why we find ourselves more connected to, I don't know, Dateline, Erin?
Keith Morrison, Josh Mankiewicz, not that I know them on a first-name basis and they have restraining orders against me or anything. A fascinating tidbit on why we find it hard to sleep in strange places.
A couple of cool things to watch, including Will and Harper and A Very Royal Scandal.
Ooh, which one do they choose from?
Exactly.
All ahead on this episode. We can't wait to get to it. I can't wait to get to Toronto and then on to Port Stanley for my relaxation with Lisa Brandt. Oh, and the terror of a live Facebook episode, but we'll get into that. You got my envy pillow ready, right?
That's right. Envy Pillow is ready, and we get emails about the Envy Pillow all the time. In fact, we got one from a woman named C. She wants to be anonymous. Mm-hmm. She says, I decided to treat myself to a gift, which is something I rarely do. I just bought myself an Envy Pillow. I'm so excited. I splurged and got the copper and zinc infused silk pillowcase. And of course, I used the GF code for 10% off. So congratulations. That new Envy Pillow won't take very long to get to you. And I do recommend that you watch the little intro video because there are so many aspects to this pillow that you might not notice even just by looking at it, despite the fact that it's shaped so differently. And good luck. I mean, Erin and I love ours.
That's right. Just don't let anybody use that gorgeous pillowcase for their Halloween collection. I remember ruining one of my mother's white ones when a jawbreaker, those black balls, got wet in the rain. There was a big black splotch on that pillowcase forever. Licorice. Go to envypillow.com, ENVY pillow.com. Use the code GF for 10% off. Well, here we go. Episode 96, and you started this week not exactly on the happiest note. I'm so sorry for you.
Yeah, my Aunt Louisa passed away, my dad's younger brother's wife. They've been married 59 years. I mean, I don't know a time without her in the world. And she was 87. She had Alzheimer's, and her body just gave up. But you know, it's funny, Erin, even when you know somebody your whole life, when you're a kid and they're an adult, there's a whole level of things that you don't know, right?
Right.
So in the obituary that my cousin wrote for her mom, it mentioned that my aunt worked at the Mayo Clinic. And I'm like, what? Like, I knew she was a registered nurse and was a nurse her whole life, but she worked at the Mayo Clinic when she first left the Philippines and was in the United States, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Didn't know that. Knew she was a beauty queen, but didn't know what the title was at the time, and that she had been fabulously beautiful. At the age of 87, she didn't have a single wrinkle. She was just a beautiful woman. But there's other things, too. I found out that she had had breast cancer, leukemia. a stroke.
Whoa.
All of these other things that she refused to let anybody tell family members about. And there's this strange sense of pride with many people in that generation where they feel like it's almost a weakness or something to say that they've gotten sick. So she just refused to let anybody talk about it. So we never knew that any of this had happened. Isn't that bizarre?
It is. And it is a generational thing. I saw a post the other day about someone who was lamenting that one of their parents had had a surgery or something very major, but hadn't let the kids know because they didn't want to worry them. And everybody related to this. It was like, I know. And my mom did that. She was having a valve replacement, and they moved the surgery up a week. Did she tell us? No. She said, what are you going to do?
Right.
It's really something.
So even my uncle now, so he's all alone. I mean, there's no one left in the family of his generation.
Yeah.
So my cousin, who fortunately, how do I describe my cousin? She could be a shark in Shark Tank, let's put it that way, but she's way too nice.
Okay.
So anyway, she's just cleared her calendar for the next month so she can hang out with her dad and help him get things done. And her dad's like, oh, don't do that on my account. But I think secretly he's quite pleased because he needs the support right now. But yeah, this whole withholding information, oh, I didn't want you to worry.
Yeah, right. And there was something that was darkly funny when you went to order funeral flowers for her.
Oh, so I ordered the flowers and I'm about to check out. This is with an online service. And I go to check out and this little bot pops up. Of course, it's AI, which everybody's talking about, artificial intelligence. And it pops up and says, would you like to add a balloon to your order? No, I don't think that would go over too well at the funeral parlor, but thank you anyway. I do appreciate it. No chocolates either, but we're good.
God.
It was darkly funny.
Hey, not so fast on cutting off the chocolate. We don't judge what people want when they're grieving.
No, that's true.
Speaking of chocolates, you came across a way for us not to go crazy with the leftovers after Halloween next week.
Well, I started out with this story about how, the price of chocolate ingredients has gone so far up that some of the companies, like even Hershey, which is the chocolate company, instead of making new types of chocolates, they're making regular candy because it's so cheap. It's just too expensive to make chocolate. So kind of went down the rabbit hole with that. And it led me to a dietitian that I know. And I looked at a whole bunch of other dietitians. They're all saying the same thing. How did your parents treat Halloween candy with you girls?
Whoa.
Did you just have authority over your sack of treats, or what happened?
I seem to recall them being meted out. I think that there was an allowance every day of candy, although with 4 kids and rapidly running out of F's to give, I think my mother eventually just said, go feral, keep it wherever you want. Some of us would have squirreled it away and eaten it carefully, and I think that that's a sign of intelligence when you can put off pleasure like that. The marshmallow test. Google the marshmallow test. But I wasn't that smart, and I'm sure that I had it all devoured within a couple of days. How about you?
This is the thing. So my parents, we go through it, and if there was something that was wrapped in saran wrap or something, we'd have to, if we couldn't remember who we got it from or wherever, that would get thrown out. But then they would take the bags and give us a little bit every day. Now that sounds really smart, but dietitians now are saying that is absolutely the opposite of what you should be doing.
Whoa.
What you should do is let the kids figure it out on their own. Don't make it some secret treasure that they long for and can't have because they don't have possession of it. Don't make it forbidden. Don't make it junk because that just makes it more mysterious and more like they want to have it. So, of course, a kid's going to eat until they get sick at some point. All right, then they learn. And like in Derek's family, for example, they all kept their own candy and they made it last. And they traded with each other. And it wasn't seen as some big, mysterious, wonderful thing that they weren't even allowed to have power over. Like for my brother and I mean, we are the classic examples of why you shouldn't take it away and dole it out in tiny little bits because we both have the same sweet tooth where we could eat ourselves sick if we didn't really control it, Under the way dietitians look at food now, nothing is bad. Nothing is off limits. It's just food. but you learn what's better for you, what's not better for you, and the same goes with Halloween treats. And I just thought that was absolutely fascinating. Wish my mom was still around, not so I could say, look, you didn't do this right, because you did the best you could and what you thought at the time.
Right.
But I would love to know what she thought about that. Like if it would be like, oh my goodness, you two would just be, in chocolate comas and it would never be a good idea. But I just found that absolutely fascinating. Give the kids the responsibility over the chocolate and the treats.
I wonder if that applies to desserts.
It does.
We never had desserts growing up. And so we come to crave desserts. And one of the first things that I would do regularly when I moved out on my own was buy the big bag of chips and just devour it in bed at night.
Exactly.
Because the chips stayed over the fridge. There was almost barbed wire around it and perhaps a couple of mines, So these were the forbidden fruit without the benefit of fruit, if you know what I mean.
Right. And that's the exact same principle. So it was kept out of your reach. I mean, we know what it's like. I'm sure we remember when Mom would bring home, it was always Neapolitan ice cream to kind of please everybody.
Yeah, right.
And when nobody was looking, my brother would dig out all the chocolate
Yes.
and just leave the strawberry and vanilla.
Yeah.
I'm still not over that, how he could do that and pick out all the almonds and the nuts and bolts. But anyway, I'm over it. But it's true because it was something that we weren't allowed to have free reign over. And sometimes it is a cost issue. It's a budget issue. But I think with Halloween candy, whatever your haul is, the idea is to let the kid decide on their own what they're going to do. They're not going to eat 7 chocolate bars in a row, or maybe they are, and then they're going to have a tummy ache and they'll know not to do it next time.
But what a way to go. My obit would include Kit Kats.
Maybe I would send a balloon.
I hope so. I heard Steve Martin and Martin Short the other night on with Seth Meyers. I'm going to try and rehash it, Lisa. We don't have just a friendship. We have a funship where if you call me and say, oh, I'm not feeling too happy today, I would call you and say, instead of, oh, what can I do to make it better? I'd call and say, oh, can you call me back when you're feeling happier?
Now you can totally see them being that way. That's fantastic.
Gosh. Well, in a couple of days, we're going to be together, laughing together, even sleeping together, because we're going to have a sleepover in a Toronto hotel on Sunday night, because I've got a gig to MC Monday. You're coming along. You're my +1. God bless you. And I need to ask you, never mind that you're going to have a strange roommate for that night, but when you're in a different place, do you find it hard to sleep, especially the first night, even if you've got your envy pillow, even if I've got my weighted blanket, the creature comforts of home? Do you feel that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, because there's strange noises, it seems like, and it's just, what is that? What's the deal with that?
I stumbled across something on an account I follow called Facts Weird on Threads. It says when you can't sleep on your first night in a new place, your brain is trying to protect you. Many animals sleep with only half their brain, while the other half stays alert to possible dangers. It's called the first night effect in humans because our bodies put us in a strange half-asleep, half-awake state the first time we sleep in an unfamiliar environment.
That makes sense, doesn't it? Because we'd be sort of wondering about threats and what could be a threat in a nice hotel room. I suppose maybe the heater will come on and make a banging noise, but that's about it. But yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Or cleaning staff coming in when you're not expecting it or something like that. So we double lock the door and everything.
Housekeeping. Yeah, exactly.
Now, it could be some of us watch a little bit too much murder, forensic television, as I know I do. I'm putting my hand up. Of course, I'm a Dateline devotee. And there are reasons that women especially watch more forensic shows. Are you interested in this at all? Do you do it? You don't do it as much as I do, right?
No, but I do. I mean, we've been watching Dexter. It took about 5 episodes for me to get desensitized to it, though. The first few, I didn't think I was going to make it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do love some. I actually like serial killer documentaries because I learned from them. And that's what I want to do. It's like never get in the car, all that kind of stuff.
And I, on the other hand, learn how to get away with it. So this is, we're both taking things.
Great.
I'm learning so many things. And you know what? The people who get caught, you go, don't you know that all of that is on your phone? When you Google how to make poison out of nicotine or how to do this or how to do that, they are going to find that. And it's going to be what seals your fate. Okay. But me, of course, we've called this grief porn. And I don't know if it is that or not. But Rob and I will settle in and watch a story of often a family who has lost a child. I can't explain it. It almost makes you feel like, okay, somebody else knows this. And then there's that tiny bit of ourselves that go, oh, thank God. Thank God it wasn't murder. Thank God it wasn't this or that. I know it's all strange. It's very strange and very dark.
That's okay.
But why? Why do we watch forensic shows? Women are more likely. And there are 4 good reasons. This is from a forensic psychiatrist who has a YouTube channel with a name I just love called A Psych for Sore Minds.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. So he said there appears to be fairly significant disparity in the interest in this type of content between the sexes, and women are 80% more likely to binge true crime content, documentary shows and stuff than men. And the first reason is vulnerability and safety, because women are statistically more likely to experience violence and harassment than men.
Right.
So sometimes we engage in these true crime stories as a way of conceptualizing and understanding and grappling with these threats. That may be kind of what you're talking about, why you watch.
Yeah, just to see what some of the signs are that might have gotten missed early on. I don't know, awareness. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
Being prepared, coping mechanism. The next one is empathy and emotional connection. See, that would be us, I guess, because studies have shown women generally score higher in empathy traits than men, and true crime narratives often delve into deeply emotional experiences of the victims and of their families, so it resonates more deeply with us. Another reason that women watch these shows more than men is social expectations and gender roles. Usually we're expected to be more nurturing and more caring. Men are supposed to be more stoic and emotionally detached, but these gender roles influence how each of us interacts with emotionally charged material and content like true crime. Okay, I don't really get that one, but in the next one, and the fourth one, the final one, is representation. We all know true crime as a genre, and increasingly it features female protagonists in terms of investigators and heroes. We know we are more likely to be victims, but it's actually the female perpetrators commit less violence. So if there are more women into true crime, it's more likely that we're going to be even more interested in it. So that's what we're watching and why.
Yeah, very interesting.
Which reminds me, make sure and record Dateline tomorrow night on Friday night on NBC, because I'm going to be at your place by Monday and I won't have watched it yet. So do a friend a solid, would you?
All right. Dateline it is. Making note to self. Record Dateline for murder-loving friend. Okay, yep, got it.
There you go. And remember to lock my door from the outside for your own sake, okay? You may have seen on my blog a week or two ago, voiceoflisabrandt.com, that I wrote about my birthday wish that people would watch Will and Harper, the documentary about Will Ferrell taking a cross-country trip with his newly transitioned friend who now goes by the name of Harper. And you've seen it, I've seen it, Derek watched it. Rob loved it.
Yeah, Derek watched it because I asked him to. It's not something he would have gravitated to, and it's got nothing to do with, he's a NASCAR fan, and every time I say that, I feel like I've got to say, but He's not the stereotype at all, you know? In fact, he says if it goes too much further, he might have to find another type of racing to watch. You know, he's very accepting and open and loving and all those things. So it just wasn't the kind of thing that he would grab. But my recommendation, you watched it. You loved it, right?
Oh, just loved it. But I have to ask before we go on, what do you mean if NASCAR goes any further? What do you mean, further into the MAGA world, or what are you referring to?
Yes, there are lots of MAGAs in NASCAR. Derek is not one of them. And they're very fervent, and they give lots of money and things like that. And it's not what he's He likes to watch the racing. He's not into the whole ideology of being super hyper-conservative Southern U.S., I guess we might say.
Okay.
And just to put a real big generality on it so somebody can get mad at me, I suppose. But anyway, he really did enjoy Will and Harper. What he liked most of all, I think, was seeing a different side of Will Ferrell just as a friend and as a caring, sensitive guy. I know I cried several times, even the second time I watched it, just for what Harper went through from transitioning to a woman, and just people who have no right and no reason to be mean, being mean.
Mm-hmm. And the whole premise of this is that Harper hadn't done the whole Route 66 that she loved to do in her previous life.
Yeah.
And she wanted to do it, but she was so afraid of the redneck truck stops and bars and everything else. And so Will Ferrell said, okay, let's go along. Let's do this thing. And they made it like a road trip. They would sit outside of Walmart in their lawn chairs and drink beers and make fun of each other. And there were some genuinely funny friendship moments as we learned about Harper's transition and what made this SNL writer and head writer decide to move into her true self in adulthood, as a parent, as a friend, and all of that. And boy, did they hit some redneck stops as well, which I think that Will Ferrell really kind of opened the doors for. But there were times, too, when they were both pilloried. If they could have been put in the town square, they would have been for being there. And I'm thinking in particular of a Texas steakhouse.
Right. Harper has a love for greasy truck stops and dive bars, and was really kind of feeling like she couldn't go into these things, as you said, but with Will as backup, in fact, sitting outside in the car one time and letting her go in on her own. I mean, that's scary. Let's be honest. She's not an attractive woman, and she even references that. And I don't say that as any kind of critique or anything like that, but she is quite obviously a man who has transitioned, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I'm wrong in saying that.
No.
So she's kind of out there. And it's not a subtle thing to have her walk into a room. And she's not trying to draw attention and go, hey, look at me, everybody. I'm trans. But it's just a reality. And my heart absolutely breaks for some of the situations she's found herself in. And couldn't we just have a world where everybody can live their true selves and just everybody else just go F themselves? You know what I mean? Mind your own business.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it was mostly a hopeful, positive thing.
It was. And there are some wonderful SNL alum who show up and really add sparkle to it, from Molly Shannon to the amazing Kristen Wiig and Will Forte. It's just wonderful. It's eye-opening. It's mind-opening. It's heart-opening. It's Will and Harper on Netflix.
Well worth seeing. And you've taken a dive into something royal. And I don't know that I can take any more royal stuff. But anyway, tell me about it.
We all love the actor Michael Sheen, right?
Yes.
Played Tony Blair in the film The Queen. He's all that. Well, it's a very royal scandal, and you can find it on Prime. They do these very short seasons of very British scandal and all this stuff. Hugh Grant's been on it. Well, it's Michael Sheen's turn, and guess who he's playing? Prince Andrew. Yes. Mm-hmm.
The story?
Yes. Basically, it's not so much into what he did or did not do with Jeffrey Epstein. It's just how his life blew up because of the BBC interview he sat down for so arrogantly, so sure that he should sit down and clear his name when Prince Charles was against it. Now, of course, Mummy, the Queen, she thought the sun shone wherever Andrew walked, and so she signed off on it, but oh my, it blew up in his face, and interestingly, it blew up in the interviewer's face, too. It's a very interesting, very royal scandal, and it's worth watching.
Huh. Well, I love Michael Sheen. Did you learn things beyond what you remember hearing at the time?
I absolutely did.
Okay.
Because I don't know how much attention I paid to the actual interview, and now I want to go back and watch it because I know how panicked she was, how last minute the changes were. It's on, it's off, it's on again. It's really compelling from a journalist standpoint, Lisa, and for that reason you can totally put yourself in her high heels, even down to what she chose to wear to disarm him or make him feel comfortable, a military-style jacket and the super sexy pumps to distract him and stuff.
Wow.
And it also delves into the reaction of Beatrice, Eugenie, and Fergie, and more. And of course, we're still seeing the fallout because he basically has little or no role within the royal firm, as it were.
Right. Well.
Oh, by the way, he says, as it were, so many times that if it was a drinking game, you'd be finished your bottle of Chablis in the first episode, as it were.
As it were. Okay. And what platform is this one on?
Prime, which of course is Amazon, and now we're having to watch ads while we're watching Prime. I know, first world problem, but come on.
Yeah, I know.
We're already paying for this stuff, right?
Yeah.
I love that you are starting to send us more emails in addition to the Facebook comments at Gracefully and Frankly on our Facebook page. But the emails we've been getting, Lisa, they're so touching, and really, they're not just to us, they're to everyone. Carolyn wrote, I just had my walk and listened to your podcast. It's the highlight of my Thursday, and I look forward to it all week. Yay! One thing that resonated with me was when you both were talking about social anxiety. That was last week in episode 95, by the way, and the desire and need to be alone. I've been feeling this a lot lately myself, too. Maybe it's because the summer was so busy and we are just peopled out. And Lisa, she goes on, I love how you say you're busy with a client and you're the client. I'm going to use that one, kind of a me, myself, and I thing.
That's awesome.
But then, Lisa, she carries on here with a post she saw on Facebook, and she pasted it for us to share. This is so lovely, and it's by Britton Oakman, and here it goes. You ready?
Yeah.
I lied and said I was busy. I was busy, but not in a way most people understand. I was busy taking deeper breaths. I was busy silencing irrational thoughts. I was busy calming a racing heart. I was busy telling myself I am okay. Sometimes this is my busy, and I will not apologize for it. Isn't that great?
I love that. Love, love, love. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she signs off, looking forward to your Facebook Live on November 1st. Carolyn, we are looking forward to it too, honey. It is November 1st. It's a Friday, and we're going to do it at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. in the West, 5 p.m. if you're in Alberta, and you know where you are in the Maritimes and Newfoundland. So,
And all we have to do is pick a room to do it from, Erin.
okay, not in studios, because they're not pretty.
No, they're not pretty.
We'll do it someplace. I don't know. We can do it in bed.
We actually can. We could sit on your bed in the Airbnb and hold our envy pillows, and we could be in our pajamas if we wanted. I mean,
I will allow it. I will allow broadcasting in my bedroom.
excellent.
Just this once. And by the way, just to put a bow on this whole anxiety thing we were talking about last week, and oh my goodness, the topic so blew up on my Facebook page because because I posted about it the day before the podcast came out. So please, if you have any thoughts on things, do share those thoughts at the Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page too, so all of the listeners to Gracefully and Frankly can see them as well. My little bit of advice from my therapist last week, and this is only to help others who may suffer from anxiety and feel it rising as you get ready to go out the door,
Right.
or in my case, as the elevator doors close and I'm descending with the dogs. Take a moment when you get home to sit down, open a Word doc, and just write what you were feeling when it was happening, why it was happening, what you felt. And don't do it with judgment, which, of course, is my go-to. Like, how could you be so stupid? This is ridiculous. You're walking your dogs in a quiet little town. Everything's fine. And then just see where it goes from there. It's part of Gestalt therapy. Have you ever had Gestalt?
I don't think, but I've had Gish Pepper. No. No. Sorry. What is it?
I knew. I was waiting. It's where each part makes up the sum, and you just look at that one part. I'm probably getting it all wrong. I don't have a degree in psychology. I don't even play one on a podcast.
Okay.
But it's just taking a moment to recognize, and then later, when you're back in your happy space, your safe space, you write, okay, what was I feeling?
Right.
It makes it easier to kind of parse what it was.
Right.
So if you want to, you can try that.
Yeah, and when you're not in the middle of the moment, like I'm sure you find that with conversations with your spouse, when you want to have a really serious conversation, right in that moment when that thing is the hottest, may not be the best time to be aware of everything, but later you can deconstruct it a little bit. I think that sounds brilliant. I like your therapist.
I do too.
I'm so glad we go to her. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I'll ask for the group discount for the entire Gracefully and Frankly listenership.
That's very helpful, though. That's great, Erin.
Well, thank you. It's helpful to me, too. And you know what? Kind of one of the things that makes me anxious is, stranger danger, I guess. But the other night, it was pitch black outside. Rob and I are walking the dogs, and I'm walking a bit ahead of him and didn't see a man coming up from beside Rob who said, hi, really friendly. And I leapt out of my skin, and it was just a really friendly guy in the dark. And we said hi back. The dogs didn't bark. Everything was fine. He didn't murder us. So, again, too much Dateline. So that's one thing. Okay, one of the things you feared would happen, happened. How did it come out? Right? Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm super happy with how this came out. And we can't wait until 1 week, 1 day. Of course, we will have a briefer episode 97 for you next Thursday, kind of laying the table for our Facebook Live. If you have topics you want us to discuss, leave them on our Facebook page. And it's an open table, open discussion. And of course, we'll take your messages and stuff while we're doing it. But as you saw from the last time when I couldn't even get the picture straight behind me, we are challenged a bit by technology and stuff, even hanging pictures.
Oh, no. No, we're not. You know what?
What?
It's going to be perfectly fine. It's all made to just be done on a phone. It's just, we just have to
Really?
dumb ourselves down. That's all.
Oh, that's it. We're the smart ones. Okay, thanks for
That's
spinning
right.
that.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, maybe you need to talk to my therapist. All right. Have a wonderful weekend this final weekend of October. You don't change your clocks yet. We'll be here to remind you of that next week, just like good former radio people. Thank you to Envy Pillow and Sierra Sill, and mostly you, my friend. Thank you for being here.
You as well, and I'll see you in a couple of days.
Squee!